By name, Landania, Landania, ye Jacobite by name, Landania, ye Jacobite by name, your faults I would proclaim, your doctrines I'm unblame, you must hear, you shall hear, your doctrines I'm unblame, you shall hear. I was born in the UK, and when I was 7, my parents decided to move to France, and I think we arrived in central Brittany just by chance, really. We bought a ruin, and it was about, I think it was a hectare. Half of it was boggy in brambles, and the other half was a field that the farmer sold us, and my dad built the house. In the UK, I hadn't been going to school, and we basically continued that way in France, so I basically ended up never having any traditional schooling. I rediscovered an old way of farming that I couldn't have been trained to do in a school anyway. Now we've got 4 hectares in total, but that was small. I mean, it's all happened slowly, really, over the course of 20 years, that you get a small field that comes up for sale. And you think, yeah, well, why not? For me, 4 hectares is too much. You could have 3 or 4 families easily on 4 hectares, and you'd all have a lot to eat. You'd have enough wood. You'd have enough of everything. I wanted to have a bit more, because I didn't want it to be just large-scale farmers all around me. This house was my first building project. It's like my tiny house. And I started building to the guest house, but everyone was saying, that's going to be for you, that's going to be for you. So in the end, I sort of gave ground, and I thought, yeah, why not? I basically got no electric or mains water or telephone. It's just nice, really, to in the evening just chill out away from it all, make a few baskets in the twilight. Human beings have really created their own habitat over the course of a few thousand years or more, and it's basically been with traditional farming. It's been human beings working their environment in a way that they can actually live on it, that it can sustain them, and everything they need comes from their local environment, and that actually creates their own ecosystem. By having my field and dividing it into small fields and planting the trees and the banks, I've just been getting a huge amount of all the things that I really like the butterflies and birds, and every year I get more different sorts of stuff coming in. You can just imagine that if you spread that out, you know, even if not that many people did it, it could actually be an incredible boost to all the wild plants and the wild animals.
I don't have a problem with like slugs eating everything.
I mean, it's interesting with the pests. It started off, it was slugs, then it was mice, then it was voles, and then recently we've had deer. I've had a lot of hare this year. Some years I've planted a whole field of wheat, and it's been like chaffinches or something, just little chaffinches have just gone over the field in the early morning, and they've just eaten out half the grain. So it seems almost like every year there's something, and I just think this is impossible. And then I think back, yeah, like a few years ago it was that, and I found a workaround. This is actually a cage to keep off the pigeons. And last year we built a fence to keep the deer out. It turned out to be what people used to do in the past, I think. This is the basic tool. This is what works the land. For the size, it's basically a machine you can make yourself. You can make the handle yourself whenever it breaks. So it's free. It's basically free. You can make it even from old metal. It takes a little bit more energy to use, but I think it actually does a better job because it's slower. You get to see all the toads, you get to see the snakes, you get to see the baby hares. You basically know what you're doing, and you can also cut different things in a different way. You might have a flower that you think, oh, look, I've got an orchid in my field. I'd like to save the orchid, and you just chop round it. It's not a problem because you're going at that speed. For me, I can't see too much link between money and nature, because nature gives me a present, like some hazelnuts, and I sell them. And then the money, how can I give that back to my trees? My drawing tends to be farm related. It's like inspired. I've got a cartoon character who works basically does what I do, Tim the gardener. I've kind of got both things going, which is quite nice really, because even though it's paradise in nature, it's basically depopulated. So you can work on the land, you get to see all the other animals, but you don't see many people. And the advantage of the computer is exactly, it's like you're hyper-connected, which for me is too much. If I was that hyper-connected all the time, I think I'd go mad. Okay, so I thought I would show you around the land. So this is the vegetable garden. That's the buckwheat, and here we've got the marigolds. That's just, I like to have a few rows of flowers. I think it attracts the birds and the butterflies and the bees. And here you can see is where I have the onions and garlic and the shallots. After the crop comes up, I don't leave the ground bare, then it goes hard. I try and cover it straight away with mulch. You can see, look, the ground's nice and it's actually been quite dry, and the ground's nice and moist. I've always had an ambition to do thatching. It just really appeals to me, a roof that you can compost afterwards. To make the cider, I basically need apples, so I've grafted about 20 to 30 apple trees. And then that's the cider press. These are the barrels of cider. Most of them are empty now. This one is for old cider, which is good for vinegar. And this is a little barrel for Calvados. Still proper good scrumpy cider. I make a sourdough rye loaf. 3/4 rye, 1/4 wheat, and it keeps for ages. In a good year, from 1,000 square meters, you can get like 150 kilos of rye, which for me, that's basically what I need in a year. Because I use about 5-6 kilos of flour every fortnight, and I don't sieve it, so I use the whole grain, so I get everything. There seems to be a huge amount of stuff for children about the environment, and certainly for me when I was growing up, my memories of just being bombarded with all this information. It was the Amazon rainforest, it was a polar ice cap, I think that was starting, and basically our destructive habitat, you know, that we create as human beings, being unfriendly to other natural species, which obviously the child is just heartbreaking. He's saying, okay, I don't want to be a bad person. I want to be somebody that can live in harmony with all the things that I like, you know, all the birds and the butterflies.
so what do I do? And you're looking at the adults and thinking, okay, you pointed out the problem, where's my solution? And you get to a certain age and it's like, well, no, we're not interested. If I had a chance to do something for the next generation, that's really what I'd like to do. I'd like to not really talk about the problems, because I think we all know them. I basically like to share what I've learnt to appreciate and what I've discovered really over the past few years working with nature, that there really can be a harmony between us and everything else. We really are part of the picture, you know. We're all friends and we can all work together. And life's actually much more enjoyable when you can do it together. And yeah, that's what I'd like to do.